bullshit. Okay.
It's bullshit.
Okay. So
bullshit.
one thing okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
This guy that you were seeing
Uh-huh.
and you were being intimate with, and in your head you're like, this could lead somewhere.
Yes.
Did you want to be sleeping with anyone else?
No.
Okay, that's the difference between men and women.
Sure.
The difference is for men, they can still want one woman emotionally and still have sex with other women.
Yeah.
Because whereas generally, not saying women can't do that, but generally speaking, when a woman is getting the man that she's emotionally and sexually invested in,
Yeah.
she's not interested in being physical with anyone else.
Yeah, I would say that's quite a generalisation.
Yes.
But, I mean, I can kind of see that. But
that's why this situation where the technicality of a guy sleeping with other people and stuff and a girl having an issue even though they're not in a relationship, that's why 9 times out of 10 it tends to be one way. It tends to be she's not okay, right? That they're not in a relationship, but he still slept with someone else because she doesn't want to. And I think part of understanding men is that men can separate emotions from sex generally a lot easier than women. A man can a man could be in love with one woman and be having sex with 5 others. But I think the average woman, she's not built that way. I know, but it's the way that men are built. Men, because look, you want to choose somebody who has similar values to you.
Yeah.
But we already know the thing that turns women on is different to the things that turn men on.
Yeah. In what way?
In a way, so we know men are very visual creatures, which is why 99% of porn consumers are men.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. The thing that tends to turn women on is 50 Shades of Grey, romantic films, things that are more to do with the emotional and mental intimacy that then play into the physical.
Yeah.
Whereas guys can look at a pair of boobs and be like, I'm ready.
Boobs, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think if we can understand that guys separate sex or physical intimacy from emotions, a guy can still want you but then a hot girl comes along, she's like, I'm around for the night, and he'd be like, yeah, I'm game. I'm not saying it's okay, I'm not saying it's respectful.
I think then for me personally, I'm like, okay, that man is not for me. Do you know what I mean?
The man who is wired that way, or the guy who operates that way?
I think you're probably correct that most men are wired that way.
Yes.
You can make choices to either do that or not. And if you know that doing that will disrespect someone that you have emotional connection for and feelings for and something you want to pursue, then I reckon that you should choose no. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can... I think that there's choices to be made consistently. Yes. Like you've just said there, maybe I should have chosen to be more vocal about my expectations.
Yes.
Just in the same way that men can choose whether or not they decide to go with those innate feelings that they have to sleep with the girl with the boobs. Do you know what I mean?
I get you. So if we talk, I'm going to talk about that situation because you said that he told you.
Yes.
Why do you think he told you?
I think he told me because he wanted to be honest with me.
Okay.
I also think he told me because he knew he'd feel too guilty not to tell me. I think if he hadn't told me, we'd probably still be dating.
So is that why things ended?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a hard boundary for me that he crossed.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Because let's say January, February time was when you would have wanted him to be only investing in you and no one else. Right?
Yeah.
If you had expressed to him, hey, I really like you, I love the way things are going. For me, for this to move forward, I need to know that there's no one else on the scene.
Yeah, but I think as well for me, like, and again, this is this idea that like women are desperate to just like pin down a man, right? And just like get the claws in and go. Sure. I consciously choose to get to know people slowly nowadays. Like I consciously make that effort because I've made big mistakes where I've just fallen straight into relationships with generally pretty terrible men.
Yeah.
And then you've fall in too deep and then it's very difficult to get out again. And so I consciously make the decision to take my time, which is why that conversation didn't come up. That conversation wasn't going to come up until April, May time, which is, it's just dreadful timing that it happened right before that conversation. And I guess I don't, and you've made the point very well, like women and men are wired differently. I think you're completely right that men probably can separate their emotions from their sex. I think women can too.
They can.
I think that, we've had conversations before, like I am quite sexually liberal, like I'm happy to have one night stands if it's like consensual, we've all had good conversations and whatever.
Sure.
But when I'm in a relationship, I don't have that desire.
So because here's the thing, like, because you said that it was only at that point that you would have wanted him to be physically exclusive to you. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, so if it's around the same time, I understand you having a falling out of that happening, but then to end things over that.
It was also someone he was working with and was going to be working with till the end of his contract in October. I was like, there's no way I can deal with that. There's no way I can deal with you continuing to work away from me.
Okay.
Long distance, having slept with someone you're working with.
Okay. Oh, so it was a distance thing.
He was touring. So we were not seeing each other as often as we wanted to because...
I see what you're saying.
And so that's why I was taking my time, because I was like, I need to build trust up with you because it's long distance. And then he did the one thing that would completely trash my trust in him, which is sleep with someone he's working with while he's away long distance.
So and I'm gonna challenge you, not because I don't understand where you're coming from, because I do, but I want to see if this situation came up again, how it could have maybe been different. Did you like and trust him enough that if you had got into a relationship, let's say in February, do you think he would have done that?
No, I don't think he would have done it.
And do you think he told you because he wanted to hurt you, or do you think he told you because he cares about you?
I think he told me because he cares about me.
So then why did you end it?
Because partially ego.
Okay.
I'll admit that, right? Yeah. I'll admit that. But also, like, let's get...
Because the thing is, he didn't have to tell you.
He didn't have to tell me.
And he didn't do anything wrong. That eye twitch. She's like, well...
Didn't do anything wrong, huh? No.
I'm not saying what he did was respectful or tasteful.
Yes, I agree. He didn't technically do anything wrong.
Right.
But, anyway. But no, I completely see what you're saying. I ended it with him because I knew that I wasn't going to... I said I didn't want to speak to him anymore. I got really upset with him. And then I found out a week later that he'd slept with her again. A few years later. Again, totally within his rights to do that. He's not done anything wrong. Did I then at that point go, I cannot see it?
Is this after you told me you didn't want to talk to him?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. So again, he's completely within his rights to do that. And I think had that not happened, there might have been a chance for the door to have been reopened and me make another go of it. But the moment I knew that he'd continued to sleep with her, I was like, mug.
I don't think...
And that's how I felt. That's how I felt. Like, because, again, he was giving it, I don't even really know her. Like, we'd barely even spoken. I'm like, you've been on a contract since February. You've barely spoken to your work colleague who you've just happened to have sex with. I don't buy it. And that might just be me being a distrusting woman, but I didn't buy it. And unfortunately for him, I have had very not great guys treat me pretty badly. And it does make me more wary. It does make me more mistrusting. And that is my issue that I'm trying to resolve.
Of course, we all have our things.
And it was a boundary that was just crossed. And at that point for me, like, I could try and persevere with it. But should I have to? When there might be a man out there who will give me more respect and not do... Yes, he was in the right, sure. But was he respectful? No. And do I deserve a man that is respectful? Hell fucking yes. So...
I agree, but I also think, and this isn't even for the men, this is for yourself.
Yeah.
If you have expectations of how you want him to act with something specific, you have to communicate
Yeah,
that to him.
and I completely agree.
Because one thing for me, right, like when I'm in a relationship, there are certain rules that I just won't. When I say rules for myself, as in, so like I have a couple of friends who are women, and sometimes they'll come over with a couple of other guys, whatever. And if they stay, I'll never stay in the same bed with them,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Even if they're, and there's one or two who female friends of mine who are like my sisters. Like nothing
Yeah.
would ever happen, but especially when I'm in a relationship, I wouldn't be in a bed with them because that's disrespectful to my relationship. I feel
course,
because
yeah,
I
sure.
wouldn't want her to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's something that we communicate
Yeah.
about.
Okay.
Because for example, like, so my ex-girlfriend, you know, she was a salsa dancer. So she was salsing with guys, you know, which go
yeah,
out all
of
the time,
course.
all that, right? And that's what she loved to do. That was her thing. Now for me, that was okay because that's just her thing. I didn't see that as disrespectful.
Yeah.
Some other guys may see that as disrespectful to their relationship.
Yeah.
So the only way you can tell the difference whether it's okay for yours is to communicate these things.
Completely.
And I think, if I'm going to be honest, I think I understand why. I think the reason he slept with her again is because he thought it was over with
Yeah,
you.
completely.
Do you know what I mean?
Completely.
And I think, because I'm thinking from the guy's perspective, I'm like, okay, you're seeing this girl, you really like her, you slept with someone else, you didn't do anything wrong. What? You didn't have to tell her. But then he told you. And I know this might sound weird, but I think he told you because he wanted something serious with you.
I don't
And I
know.
think, because if I'm honest, if he didn't want something serious with you, he wouldn't have felt the way he did, and two, he definitely wouldn't have told you.
Yeah, but even, and this is another thing. This is more general conversation, and it's definitely not just about him. Also,
course.
disclaimer: like, I have no bad feelings towards him now. Of
course.
Like, if you are ever watching this, we're cool.
Ah,
But like,
of course.
like, it's just for me, like, trying to pull this apart. And I
Yes.
think we're kind of moving on to something new here.
Yeah,
but
go for
like,
it.
I think I'd have felt more like I would that you're. Sorry, let me rewind.
Yeah.
I'd agree with what you were saying about him maybe having feelings for me, and that's why he's told me, because it shows a level of honesty and maturity to go, hey, I have messed up.
Yeah.
I have done this. The way he dealt with it wasn't good. He has admitted himself he's not a very emotional guy. He finds it really hard to open up emotionally. And he, texted me to tell me. And within the same message was like, anyway, so I've got day off on Friday. So what should we do on Friday? I was like, hold on, you're dropping a nuclear bomb and then asking me what plans we have on Friday. And it's like it hadn't registered to him or it had registered to him, but he just didn't know how to deal with it. So it was just kind of like,
Sure.
sweeping it. And I think this is like another thing. Women, generally speaking, we're quite emotional creatures. We're quite communicative creatures as it is. Although I do admit I should have communicated my expectations. Thank you, Kit. Okay. But I do think that men struggle communicating their emotions and expectations.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that I wish men would do more. I think men would be generally happier if they spoke about their emotions more, even just amongst their friends. Because
I think they do amongst their friends.
do you reckon?
Yeah, they do. I think men tend to share their emotions with their guy friends when girls aren't around. Even bringing one girl in to change the whole dynamic of the room.
Really?
100%.
That's so interesting to me.
Yeah.